Charlie was on holiday when he decided to fly his drone, hoping to capture some interesting footage. From the seventh floor of his hotel, he launched it into the sky, watching as it buzzed and soared into the distance. Charlie had been considering mountain climbing for a while, and this was his way of assessing how dangerous the area might be. As he maneuvered the drone over people, cars, and trees, the landscape began to thin out. The drone soon glided over vast green fields and rugged mountaintops. Satisfied with the scenery, Charlie felt excited about the adventures that awaited him. However, as the drone flew over one of the mountains, something unusual caught Charlie's eye. He paused the drone mid-flight, focusing on a strange spot among the greenery. Initially, he thought it might be moving. He tried zooming in, but the image became blurrier the more he enlarged it. Realizing he needed a closer look, he carefully lowered the drone toward the spot. As it grew larger on his screen, he was stunned to see that it was a dog, lying motionless on its side, seemingly unaware of the drone hovering above. Puzzled, Charlie scanned the area for the dog's owner, but there was no one in sight for miles. His concern deepened when he noticed the dog wasn't just resting, it was suffering. Unsure of what to do, he snapped photos of the dog and its surroundings before flying the drone back to the hotel. As soon as he retrieved the device, Charlie made up his mind. He rushed out of the hotel, jumped into his car, and sped off toward the mountains, determined to save the helpless animal. The drive was intense. Charlie gripped the steering wheel tightly, his mind racing. He couldn't understand why this dog had become so important to him. In his daily life, he rarely thought about animals, let alone felt compelled to rescue one. A successful businessman, Charlie had built his company from the ground up and was on his first vacation in 7 years. He had always been driven, refusing to work for others since his university days. His company had started online and quickly flourished, leading him to hire a global team and expand his market. Despite his success, Charlie realized after 7 years that wealth alone didn't bring happiness. He decided it was time to step back and enjoy life. His vacation was supposed to be filled with adventure, mountain climbing, parachuting, and more. But here he was, racing through winding mountain roads, not for thrill-seeking, but to save a dog he'd seen through his drone. The rain from earlier had made the roads slippery, but he didn't slow down. His only focus was reaching the dog in time. When the road ended, Charlie grabbed his drone and launched it again, scanning the rugged terrain. After a few tense moments, he spotted the dog nestled against jagged rocks. Without wasting time, he set off on foot, climbing the treacherous mountain paths. The higher he climbed, the more dangerous the terrain became. Loose rocks and sharp branches made every step a struggle, but he pushed through, driven by the image of the suffering dog. Finally, Charlie reached the dog, and the sight took his breath away. She was in worse condition than he had imagined, matted fur, trembling with pain, and barely able to move. But what struck him the most was that she was pregnant. His heart sank further when he realized she was also blind, her eyes clouded with a milky whiteness. How could anyone abandon a blind, pregnant dog in such a desolate place? With gentle care, Charlie lifted the fragile dog into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, a sign of severe malnourishment. The descent down the mountain was exhausting, but he didn't stop. His muscles burned, his breath came in ragged gasps, but he was determined to get her to safety. When he finally reached his car, he wrapped the dog in a blanket and drove as fast as he could to the nearest veterinary clinic. At the clinic, Charlie rushed in, shouting for help. The staff acted quickly, taking the dog into surgery. The waiting hours felt like an eternity. Charlie paced the floor, consumed by worry. Finally, the vet emerged with good news. Charlie had arrived just in time. The dog and her 6 puppies had survived. But there was more to the story. The vet recognized the dog and revealed that her previous owner had abandoned her months ago after bringing her in with a twisted paw and signs of vision loss. Hearing this, Charlie's heart ached with anger and sadness. How could someone be so cruel? Later, when the dog was stable, Charlie was allowed to see her. Surrounded by her puppies, she looked fragile but peaceful. In that moment, Charlie made a life-changing decision. He would adopt her. He named her Lada and vowed to give her the life she deserved. During the rest of his vacation, Charlie visited the clinic daily, bonding with Lada and her puppies. By the time his vacation ended, Lada was healthy enough to come home with him. Charlie made adjustments to his home, installing a secure fence and creating a comfortable environment for her. He took her on gentle walks, spoiled her with treats, and soon they became inseparable. What started as an ordinary vacation turned into a heartwarming rescue that changed Charlie's life forever. He found joy not in climbing mountains, but in the unexpected bond he formed with Lada. He promised himself he'd never miss another vacation, always hoping for another miracle like the one that brought Lada into his life.